got something to say to me, then say it to my face. What it's all about, why you're bailing out. Think you owe me an apology. Just say it to my face. You're sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. Say it to my face. You're sorry. And I quit my job for you, even quit some friends for you, 'cause you couldn't stand it, me all independent, so you had to have me for yourself. That was when I trusted you, when I could add up 2 and 2, when you promised we'd be together, you, me, forever. Now there's nothing left to lose. And though I understand it's hard sometimes to make up your mind in these trying times, yeah, I just can't accept you leaving me when I'm overseas with the heart so heavy. Think that I deserve the truth for once, not a guilty tone, 'cause you're not alone, yeah. You said you wanna come home, but I know you don't. So this time I won't hear it on the phone. If you got something to say to me, then say it to my face. What it's all about, why you're bailing out. Think you owe me an apology. Just say it to my face. You're sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. Say it to my face. You're sorry.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Good morning and welcome to the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. It is Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. Thank you so much for joining us. I will be joined momentarily by Dr. Carl Mack. And at 8:30 Eastern Time, we'll be joined by none other than investigative journalist Georgia Fort, who's going to give us an update on all of the cases that are occurring right now as it pertains to getting justice for Black life. And we'll always be joined by DJ Exclusive. Rebecca Zor is not with us today, but we have a jam-packed show. We're going to attempt to unravel some of these stories, the top stories of our day. I'm more and more interested in not doing politics. If I could just be, oh, he's ready. Okay, perfect. So I don't have to filibuster any. I'm going to bring in Dr. Carl Mack, who is already ready for us this morning. Dr. Mack, how are you this morning?
I'm good, Brother Ben. How you doing?
Doing good, man. I had something in my hands here that I think you would recognize. This is my copy of Black Heritage Day 4. And I just noticed on the website when I went over there, you have a pop-up that says the most comprehensive Black history calendar ever assembled. Let's put that to the test this morning. Hey, Google, what happened today in Black history?
Nat King Cole was one of the most celebrated and influential singers in popular music. He began playing organ in church as a 5-year-old, traveling in a musical show by the time he was 17 and putting out his first record by 24. It sold 500,000 copies. In 1956, he became the first Black man to host a network television series. On February 15th in 1965, the great Nat King Cole passed away. Adapted from Black Heritage Day 4 calendar by author, lecturer, and civil rights activist Dr. Carl Mack.
Dr. Mack, go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were about to get in there. I was going to say I had an occasion to actually go through Montgomery, Alabama, in my recent travels, and there's the house that Nat King Cole was born in, right there in that city. I did not know that this was that day, but obviously Nat King Cole, a tremendous influence on my life as a musician. I have to say, one of the very first songs I ever learned how to play was the Christmas song, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire. I don't know if you have anything more to add there, Dr. Mack, but definitely I have been, and thinking of his daughter, that family has been a blessing to Black history.
No, Ben, you pretty much said it all. So
yeah,
today we celebrate the life and legacy of Nat King Cole.
I appreciate the calendar, Dr. Mack. BlackHeritageDays.com. Go ahead and get your copy. Again, I say in my homeschooling of my children, we try to make this a cornerstone. Black history opens up something in our consciousness, to be quite honest with you. And I can speak to that personally, that there's you haven't completed your training if you haven't, or you really never complete your training, but you don't get close to it unless you understand your history. And it's something that this country, especially right now, is committed to ensuring that we don't get the opportunity to learn our history. It's because I think they understand, Dr. Mack, and correct me if you think otherwise, I think they understand the power that's in our history.
Oh, without question. There's a reason why somebody coined the cliche, the pen is mightier than the sword. There's a reason why they did that. So without question. But Ben, just to flip the script on recent Black history, I hope that all of us, and if you weren't watching it, I was literally moved to tears this weekend when I woke up on Sunday morning and looking at my television, and I'm watching a young Black woman by the name of Erin Jackson participate in the 500-meter speed skating competition in Beijing in the Olympics. And this sister won gold. And to know her story, that not only is she a talented athlete, but a graduate of the University of Florida in a STEM field of material science and engineering. And
that's awesome.
To go from roller skating to ice skating and win the Olympic gold, the first time in history that a Black woman has won a gold medal in speed skating. She's not the first Black woman to win a gold medal in the Winter Olympics. That belongs to a sister who was part of a 2-woman bobsled, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. So it's also happening today.
Black history is happening today. A friend of mine refers this month as Black Future Month. I was looking at the clip of the young sister who won, and she, if I'm not mistaken, one of the clips said that she began ice skating this. She only began this 6 years ago.
Correct.
That blows me away.
Correct. They actually have footage of her for the first time stepping on ice, and you can see it. But the thing that you have to understand is that she did inline roller skating. So many of the movements are very much the same. There's a similarity in that. So basically, once she got her footing,
She had it.
oh my God, it was
Did
just
she ever?
absolutely incredible. But
Absolutely.
to your point, Ben, to understand that she was such a novice as an ice skater, and then to come back and to dominate the world. It's absolutely, so one of the things I do laugh about is that Black women have now proven to be the fastest on land and the fastest on ice.
Hey man, give them a minute. They'll show you. Put them in them planes. You'll see how they'll be fastest in the air too. But I digress. I'm also thinking of the other aspects of history of Black future, and it really just blows me away in a positive way, Dr. Mack. I honestly believe each generation is getting sharper. Each generation is, in a sense, you might could say, getting faster, getting stronger, getting there. It's not a guarantee, right? It doesn't just happen. But I think with context in our history, with knowledge of ourselves and knowledge of our past, we can keep pushing each generation to be better than the previous. And I think personally, I think that should be our goal.
But being absolutely, but the thing that I've personally seen in my life is that even in the wokeness of today's society, and I'm gonna specifically speak about our people, I am absolutely amazed at how little, even today, we seem to be getting away from the accomplishments and the trials and tribulations of our experience in this country.
Right.
So in effect, I am saying to you that I would have totally expected us to have a better grasp on our history in this country. Yeah. And I am personally finding just the opposite, and trust and believe that if America is successful in one of the most asinine things you could ever imagine, in its simplest terms, you can call it CRT if you want to. But what America is telling us, Black folks, we don't want you to remotely study your history, even talk about what happened to you. Now you let that shit go and let's move on.
That's right.
And Black folks are sitting there like, well, maybe we are getting so far away from our history, and so many answers lie within in the dormancy of our history. So it is an abomination for us as a Black folk to move away from such power.
Yeah.
One of the great historians, Lerone Bennett, said, "Only a fool ignores his history." And sad to say, we are being a very foolish people and not teaching our children. Our children, it is apparent to me when you take a look at how our children are being, how they're moving towards activism. Now, as you said, Ben, if we can equip them with the knowledge of yesterday and let their fire of today burn,
that's right,
you will have a force that would truly speed in and usher in the change that we're so rapidly looking for.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Dr. Mack. And then yesterday, obviously, we were not live, but yesterday was Valentine's Day. But more importantly, it's the day that Frederick Douglass chose for his birthday. And I just want to take a second to acknowledge that the abolitionist, the famed abolitionist. And there was something you said one time, Brother Mack, the way you described the challenges and the threat that Frederick Douglass faced, but still in the face of this empire, being a former slave, he stood and fought on behalf. I mean, I can't even describe it. Speak about Frederick Douglass real quick. It's just, I mean, I can't go. We didn't have a show yesterday, so I want to include him.
And thank you, Ben. And so one of the things about Frederick Douglass, when you study history, there has not been a more formidable force in the efforts towards Black equality than Frederick Douglass. To imagine that a man was born right here in the state that I am in Maryland, born enslaved, through the help of his wife, escapes, changes his name to what we now know as Frederick Douglass, to be a part of meeting with presidents, to be a part of getting blacks to fight in the Civil War, to be a part of challenging America in their face of democracy in light of what we as black folks have done. But Frederick Douglass gives us some of the best advice when he says power is never conceded. It must always be taken in a struggle. So even though Frederick Douglass understood diplomacy, he understood the root of things. And when people viewed him like, there he goes again, he's agitating. Frederick Douglass says this to people: any man who professes to favor freedom, but you detest agitation, well, you are a man who wants crops without plowing the field. You want the ocean without its awful roar. You want rain without thunder and lightning. And Frederick Douglass, family, he was that thunder and that lightning for our people.
That's right. That's right. Co-founder with Martin Delany of the North Star. I had the privilege of, at the time, co-founding the North Star, the abolition newspaper, several years ago. But we can't move to the 3rd to the 15th of February, in my opinion, without acknowledging on the 14th that dynamo of a man. Go ahead, Doctor.
And Ben, let me see, I love this. You co-founding, starting back the North Star. Frederick Douglass founded the North Star with Martin Delany. I named my first son, his middle name is Delany, after Martin Delany. And for those who don't know, Martin Delany was the first black to become a major in U.S. military history during the Civil War. But he was also a staunch abolitionist. And the reason I so resonated,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
The reason I so resonated with Martin Delany is because Martin Delany said this quote. He said, "Sir, my house is my castle. And any man who approaches the house in search of a slave, I care not who he may be, a sheriff, a magistrate, a constable, even a magistrate of the U.S. Supreme Court, if he crosses the threshold of that door in search of a slave, and I do not lay his body, a lifeless corpse, at my feet, may the graves in heaven refuse me a final resting place. Because any man that approaches through that door, both of us shall not live." That's Martin Delany. So that's the reason I named my son Joshua Delany Mack.
Joshua Delany Mack. Good morning, Joshua Delany Mack. Dr. Mack, did you get a chance to see the Super Bowl this weekend? I didn't, but I don't know if you had a chance to tune in.
I watched half of it. I will say, first of all, I thought the game itself, the half that I watched, I thought it was boring. So my heart wasn't there. So maybe I watched it with less than rose-colored glasses. But I will tell you that I did watch the halftime show. Yeah. And I will say that halftime show arguably was the best halftime show. Well, it's not arguably because it's my opinion. Yeah. Well, me, it was the best halftime show I had ever seen.
You know what? I heard, I was listening to, on my day off, I listened to Steve Harvey morning show. And they were arguing about that yesterday. They were arguing about whether, would you really put, cause there's, and obviously your opinion and it's there, but they literally said, they ranked it as the best as well. Very close second was Beyonce, and then you had Prince halftime and Michael Jackson. I'm like, I don't know. Those are some pretty tough acts to be better than, but I can say it was a hell of a show. It was one of the best shows I know I've ever seen, and it was good to see on the same weekend that we announced that we got to cover, Snoop Dogg getting ownership of Death Row Records. I enjoyed it even more because, well, they were featured. Snoop and Dr. Dre took me all the way back to 1991 in the Dog Pound. So it was a great show. I was wondering how you felt about that in light of Brian Flores, in light of everything else that's going on, because, well, the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl. It's the behemoth of a machine, but there's still issues that are going on that have to be addressed.
And, Ben, that may have been why my heart and soul wasn't into it. Like I said, literally at halftime, I don't know what happened in the game after halftime. I haven't bothered to even look at much of the highlights. I think the reason I know the Rams won is because somebody literally called me and told me about it. I'm just that, my spirit is just that hurt about what has happened with the NFL. But one of the things that I am pleased about is, the things that I knew would happen. And it is people are coming and Brian Flores' voice is not being muted. there's a lot of folks beginning to come out. And now we've seen the Houston, Texas now hire Lovie Smith. Now, I was less than thrilled with how Lovie Smith said what he said when he addressed the issue of Brian Flores. He said the right things. I just needed him to have a little Karl Mack, a little Frederick Douglass fire into what he said. And do I believe that changes are coming? Without question. I made what some people may think is a bold prediction, but I am convinced that by the year 2030, 1/3 of the NFL will be Black coaches. That means we will have at least 10 Black coaches in the NFL by 2030. And all of that will be able to be pointed back to the courage that was shown by this one man. But keep in mind, he is literally the straw that broke the camel's back.
That's right.
Because there's been pressure placed upon the NFL. Not quite, you know what? I think I'm wrong in saying that, Ben, because the pressure hadn't been placed like it should have been. But there is an organization, the Fritz Pollard Alliance. And Fritz Pollard was the first Black to play and coach in the NFL. And for those who want to know, the league started in 1920. Fritz Pollard played and coached for the Akron Indians, won the world championship. But an organization named in his honor, they were the ones who threatened a lawsuit, and that's what brought about the Rooney Rule. So they certainly have been a part of it. But for Brian Flores to make the bold move that he has, I certainly believe that it is certainly put a stain on the NFL. I don't care how they want to do it. They could have had a good game, a great show, but trust and believe, no matter where, what, Brian Flores, even Biden, you got the president weighing in on this situation. So it is a very serious subject, and I think there's going to be progress made because of the courage and hopefully not the sacrifice of this Black man.
That's right. That's right. We're going to talk about this a lot more during Like It or Not with DJ Exclusive from the musical aspect, because I at this juncture, now that the Super Bowl has come and gone, we had that great halftime show. I do want to talk about now, let's use that power, right, as a way of organizing around this issue as we discussed before. So that'll be coming up at the 9 o'clock hour. And again, we'll be joined by Georgia Fort momentarily here to discuss all the ongoing federal court cases. There's a counter protest on behalf of Kim Potter. She is one of the police officers found guilty in the killing of a Black man. There are protesters who are out there supporting her to be free. This is all on the heels of coming up her sentencing that is going to occur this week. Georgia is going to give us all those details. Dr. Mack, I want to circle back to the story that we started on Friday. I had not had a chance to really dig into the Dave Chappelle story, but it was such a hot story, and I know you had a chance to dig into it, that I wanted to get the ball rolling on Friday. We got a little bit more information on what was going on, and I want to run it by you, and I want to get your thoughts on it. I want to start first, David, if you can. I want to start with a clip, because there was a clip of Yellow Springs citizens who were actually doing this lobbying too, in addition to Dave Chappelle, right? Dave Chappelle was not the only person there advocating on behalf of stopping this project from urbanizing their small town of 4,000 people. We gave all the particular details on Monday. We can go over them again if necessary for the audience, but this is the ongoing issue of whether or not Dave Chappelle blocked affordable housing. Brother Mac, sound like you're about to get in there.
Well, no, Ben, I was basically saying, I'm sitting here listening to the way that you're framing the story now. It was more than Dave Chappelle. It was the people of Yellow Springs. They wanted to stop this developer from urbanizing their city. See, this description is far more accurate. And when the media broke the story about Dave Chappelle, they knew it then. They just decided, who cares about the other folks? It's Dave Chappelle in here. If I put that Karl Mack is protesting against the urbanization of Yellow Springs, nobody, well, who cares? Dave Chappelle is doing it. Well, that's going to sell me some newspapers. That's going to get me some eyeballs. So see, I'm just listening to the way that you're framing this now. And trust and believe they could have framed it that way then. Because if you the way that you framed it, one could understand that this just ain't about affordable housing. Right. But go ahead, Ben.
No problem, man. And well, Brother Mac, now you make me feel bad. I'm not trying to sandbag you. I'm not trying to say, because after digging into the story, I've come to the exact conclusion that the media did at the beginning.
Okay.
So I want to get your opinion on it first, because you know we both yield to the truth. So maybe I'm reading it wrong, but I want to start first with this clip, because this does show exactly what I said very clearly. It was not just Dave Chappelle advocating for this. And you're right. Nobody cares if it was just the community leaders. This became a story. One of the reasons it became a story, absolutely no question, is because it simply involves Dave Chappelle. Here are the voices of the other citizens who were advocating for the same thing. Take a listen in.
Like clowns. I am not bluffing. I will take it all off the table. Just go.
Second truth I want to tell, there is not a single affordable element in this RA development or the PUD, according to our own standards. It is disingenuous and insulting to those of us who actually need affordable housing to call it affordable housing. This does not meet our needs. What we need is rental properties and entry-level housing. You mentioned this as being segregated. We don't want this to be segregated. The PUD is segregated by income. You can see it, just look at the map.
Let's go.
Number 3, this does not meet our code or a comprehensive land use plan that you keep referencing. That's in place to protect us from people like Oberer.
The PUD as currently presented is in direct violation of what is stated in Yellow Springs Code of Ordinances, explicit violations of preservation of small town appeal. And as a taxpaying citizen, I need you to stick to this vision.
You opened your comments comparing us to Trumpers, but it seems that the true Trumper is Oberer. I've never met Dave Chappelle. I also don't have his number. But however,
the development will not mitigate gentrification. The price points are simply too high. These are not starter homes.
Why not just leave it independent housing and move on from there to what might be real affordable housing?
And George Ober, you said you understood the sensibility of Yellow Springs, and we're going to try to emulate that. And the plan that you've developed does not emulate that.
We try to bring products that we already build in other locations.
We needed houses that started at the price point of $150. The 3-bedroom condos in your brochure were listed at $389, starting at $389.
And affordable is, I suppose, a broad term.
Okay, so now, in so much as everything that I agree, affordable, that's almost laughable. Affordable is a broad term. 389,000 is affordable in LA, right? But in Ohio, it's not really affordable. There's very few places in Ohio where $389,000 is going to be considered affordable. What I find interesting about that clip, Dr. Mack, is what I found in the article afterwards. I heard that the people were making the exact case that you laid out. They have a concern about the urbanization, right? They have a concern about the fact that these aren't actually affordable. I agree with both of those points. But when we pulled up the article from Dayton Daily News, the project is still going forward. They are still bringing in 143, not units, but plots of units. And they're still moving forward with that same, I think the article said, the homogeneity, right? They were complaining about those monopoly style homes that all look alike, and Yellow Springs being kind of a cottage town having unique features. I felt that and I understood that, but they're still going forward with the same contractor, Oberer, right? They're still going forward with the same number of units, the same number of plots, and the urbanization is going forward. The only aspect that's not going forward is the included duplexes that would have been affordable housing. And in fact, the lowest price of a house that's going to be built at this point is $350,000, as opposed to the $250,000 that was presented as quote unquote affordable houses. Now we have the article, and there it is on the screen. Thank you, David, for bringing it up, and we can go line by line. But David, if you would go to that one specific line that shows that the project is still going forward with the same number of units. My thing is, I'm confused, honestly, if they're trying to stop the urbanization, then the project itself should have been pulled off the table, or at least changed. What do you think, Dr.?
Well, and exactly. So everything you said is absolutely correct. So this is why Dave Chappelle said, if you go on with this project and you want to mess with the character of what is Yellow Springs, with a company that's making $12 million a year versus what I have, $65 million a year, and what I got proposed, I'll take it all off the table.
That's right.
Had nothing to do with affordable housing. That is what I'm saying. So when you said we're on the different opposite sides, I'm waiting to understand where we differ here, because
here's where we differ. I think we have one last thing.
This was never about affordable housing. This, this guy, this developer, you clearly, he's bringing affordable housing in there just to bring this type of sympathy, understanding to it. This cat could care less about quote unquote affordable housing.
I agree.
$89,000. That's where it starts, and you call it affordable.
That's right. I don't disagree with any of that. But so I have to ask, Dave Chappelle is going to have to tell us something here. Is he going to continue to invest his $65 million because the project is going forward?
No, he was clear. Chappelle was absolutely clear that if you want to bring in the urbanization through this developer and mess up the flow, and interrupt the preservation of what is Yellow Springs, Ohio, a village that I've come to appreciate, make my home. If you want to bring this urbanization in and put up these monopoly style homes, cookie cutters, trust and believe my money is out. Do I believe that that's what Chappelle is going to do? Brother said it. I believe brother's going to do it. And I hope he does.
All right, then that's going to be, and the unfortunate thing about this is this could be, you and I may have to keep an eye on this for 2 or 3 years, depending on how long it takes for him to decide where he's going to put that $65 million. But if Dave Chappelle puts that money in that community and they got the urbanization, because it looks like the project is going forward. They're going to get the urbanizing. They're going to get the urban sprawl. They're going to get all the things that you accurately outlined last week. And so the real test is now, Dave, are you going to put your money where your mouth is? Are you going to take it away from what you said? And I think we might have to wait a little while to see that whole story play itself out.
But Ben, here is, it's not important where Dave Chappelle puts his money as far as I'm concerned about this. What should be clear to you and I and all the Black folk in this country, don't buy in on the BS in which the headline reads, Dave Chappelle is against affordable housing. This morass deserved to have the layers pulled back.
Here's the layer, though.
Deserved to have the layers pulled back. This was not about, because the way that the headline reads, one would think that Dave Chappelle, who has made so much money that now he done forgot where he came from. That's what's in the back of your mind when you read a headline like that. And I'm simply saying that beautiful Black talented brother was not against affordable housing. He ain't never shown no disingenuous attitude towards humanity. This was Dave Chappelle fighting to preserve what he believes is in the best interest of his village, what a lot of folks love about Yellow Springs. That's what it was about. The headlines was misleading.
We're coming up at the half hour mark, so I'm not going to be able to finish my own thought on this, but I'll say it like this. I'll say it like this, though. Dave Chappelle never has to say he's against affordable housing if the outcome is the same. If everything is controlled, let's control for everything else. And at the end of the day, Dave Chappelle still puts his money there. That's why I think it matters. If he puts his money there and the only thing that happened was that they got rid of the duplexes. Oh, that's my music.
Y'all take us to a break. And Ben Dixon, I'm gonna tell you something right now. We're gonna meet halfway between here and Atlanta, and I want your biggest pillow because we're gonna get this on, brother.
We'll be back with more of the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show after this break.
Bad little flex, she wanna know me. I stay low key, all gas, no brakes, baby, let them hoes sleep. Body on 10, make your girl OD. I get in my way, never out of my lane. Feel like you the one and I'm on one.
Good morning, people. Y'all know who it is. Y'all know the voice. Y'all know the sound. It's your boy DJ Exclusive is in the building. James W. Williams is here. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Make sure you grab your coffee, your tea, whatever it is you need to get your morning started, y'all. Good morning, everybody.
Keep your minds on me. On try, baby, I think you should side with me. Stay solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you never lie to me. Keep the moves on tuck. I know it's all up. Everything good. Keep the vibes on crush. I know it's all good. Know it's all love.
Good morning, y'all. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. We got one coming up on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. Then On the Clock is coming up next with George and Fort. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Good morning, everybody.
Like I'm feeling like a man lately. Can't nobody do it like I can daily. Baddest in the land. Body turn your nigga to a fatty up. I made it where I'm at on my own. Had a couple blocks in the road, but I get to the bag on the loan. I be counting stacks while they grow. Yeah, you know me, baby. Won't you keep me company? Give me something to do when I get lonely. I got something for you when we get home. If you let me put it down, when I come in town, you should slide on me. Keep your minds on me. On try, baby, I think you should side with me. Stay solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. See everybody in the chat room. Good morning to you. Make sure you get your coffee and tea, man. We're coming back momentarily, so make sure y'all stay tuned. On the Clock is starting up next.
I gotta hit the beat. 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 I gotta.
Yes, y'all, it's crazy. It is the real me. I don't know why it would be. It's the real me, y'all.
It's the end of October. Champagne on my shoulder. This is my exposure. Up that bottle, it's over. It's the end of October. Champagne on my shoulder. This is my exposure. Up that all night long, but the feeling keeps kicking in. Beef with all the girls. Bullshit dripping off the chin. Up that all night long, but the feeling keeps kicking in. Beef with all the girls. Bullshit dripping off the chin.
After David, after is good. All right, y'all. I think we are ready to go now.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the
You dropped this. Yeah. Like they're bringing
What needed this song is called Hit the Beat by Make Room for the Kings or something? Make Room for the Kids. Called Hit the Beat, Make Room for the Kids.
Feel mad, cold nights feel heavy. Same place going in the heart of the city. Nitty gritty feels iffy and the eyes feel shifty. The shit we're in, yo, it's all mad risky.
all night long, but the feeling keeps kicking in. Beef with all the girls. Bullshit dripping off the chin. All night long, but the feeling keeps kicking in.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the screen. My brother from another mother, Benjamin Dixon, man. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning. I am live from Minneapolis, where there continues to be questions about policing throughout the city. This Friday, we know that Kim Potter, who was convicted of fatally shooting Dante Wright, convicted of first-degree and second-degree manslaughter, she'll be sentenced. She'll be sentenced this Friday. On Thursday, Karen Wells and Andre Locke will lay to rest their baby boy, Amir, who was fatally shot by police on February 2nd. And Ben, Brother Mac, you know, we continue to follow these stories. But one thing, you know, this morning I'd like to talk about that we don't cover a lot is the folks out there who use these tragedies as an opportunity to support officers, to talk about their support of police. These people usually are seen with the thin blue line flag, or merchandise that says Blue Lives Matter, right? We don't talk about that side of it very often, but those people have shown up at some of the most tragic times to push forth their agenda, despite the loss of life.
Yeah. So support, I'm thinking about how many times we see that happen for Black life, and for they show up at funerals and protests. It's surprising to me in one regard, but it's not surprising, because America is a system that will protect itself. And there are people who genuinely believe that the police officers who killed these Black men and women are innocent. There are some people who honestly believe in the depth of their hearts. I mean, if they were to stand before their maker and ask whether or not Derek Chauvin deserves to be in jail, they would say no, because they firmly believe in this less than human nature that they try to imbue on Black people.
Yeah.
And
sometimes even we've seen these folks play victim. I was covering a Free Kim Potter protest over the weekend, where a number of individuals showed up outside of the Shakopee prison. And I'm hearing that they actually got some intel either from the warden or from Kim Potter herself about where to position themselves outside of the prison so that she could hear them or see them. And so there was probably about a dozen of these individuals standing outside, and had lots of banners, lots of shirts that said Free Kim Potter. Their dog even had a shirt that said Free Kim Potter. Dante Wright's family found out about this move to Free Kim Potter, and so they showed up. Eventually the police were called, and what I observed was these individuals trying to act as though Dante Wright's family was aggressive, but the person who pulled out the mace was there to free Kim Potter. The person who ended up touching another individual was there to free Kim Potter. I want you guys to take a look at what took place over this weekend. Individuals rallying outside of the Shakopee prison, trying to make a plea for Kimberly Potter to be released. Take a look.
Here to support Kim, not to protest or not to speak about anything that happens. We're here to support Kim.
Weird as hell. Go ahead, I dare you to mace me. I dare you.
Because it don't make no sense. This baby ain't alive. Yeah, Kim Potter! Kim Potter! Oh, yeah, they think
Are you
so.
ashamed? Is that why you're shaking your head?
No.
No? You don't have nothing to say?
Leave Karen alone.
Did you call your friends?
No touching.
I know you're big body. Standing up here for?
You don't look, you ain't scary.
Dante Wright! Dante Wright! Dante Wright!
We can be loud. There's not a noise ordinance. I understand that. Okay. Yeah, we don't have a problem with you guys being in either. Just don't put your hands and push and shove.
No one's touched you,
yes,
sir.
you did. And you pulled your mace out.
We're peaceful, sir.
No, you're not peaceful. You pulled your mace out. That's peaceful? What's so scared? I'm your color, right?
I don't know, are you?
I am your color, ain't I?
Not even engaging.
Did anything wrong. Kim Potter did something wrong.
He started it off.
He started it? She would have never even pulled him over if it would have just been her. She said that in court. He didn't start shit. Kobe Heisler. You want to talk about Kobe? She's going to have to answer to that. You know the DOJ picked that up. Her little cover up, turn off your body cams, don't say nothing, meet around the corner and everything goes.
I guess I don't know a lot about that.
It was a mental health call. Then they called the cops. They said, we don't need you. They show up anyway. They killed Kobe. And she pulls up to the scene. Turn off your body cams. Don't talk in the car. Meet around the corner.
yet, or so you want us to leave? Well, I'm asking, you know, at some point, what time are you going to leave?
No! Shut down! Hey, shut down!
They're getting too close now.
So, you know, what struck me even was the entitlement of the individual who was talking to the officer, and he's like, "Oh, so you want us to leave?" And there was this, it felt like, sense of entitlement that they shouldn't have to leave, that Dante Wright's family should have to leave. And it's just mind-boggling that, you know, we have gone through the entire judicial process. Kimberly Potter was charged. She was found guilty in a court of law by jurors of her peers.
That's right.
And yet, and still, you have this group of individuals who feels like she should be released.
Well, you know, Sister George, first of all, good morning. And again, thank you so much for covering this. But, you know, from my perspective, this harkens back, you know, clearly what I think what we all seeing is this disrespect for a Black life. But this is the way the American Constitution was built on this principle. And when I say that, I'm not being subjective. I want to make sure that everybody understands that I am completely objective when I say that the American Constitution was built on this principle. All one has to do is go to Article 1, Section 2, Part 3 of the Constitution, where they basically said that we are 3/5 of a man. This form of slavery that was brought forth in this country is the only form of slavery that took the enslaved out of the human equation and reduced the enslaved to chattel property. And that same mindset by which the Constitution of the United States was formed is permeating today. And that is what I see when I see this. You can now take a woman who has taken the life of a Black man, and as the woman said, Dante Wright didn't do anything wrong. Kim Potter did something wrong. And now that we want to hold her accountable, now that we want to hold history accountable, you got these folks who says, no, she is right. The rules don't apply to you because you're Black. Your history don't matter because it speaks of what we did wrong. We should not be held accountable. And so that is what I see when I see this. And as far as that blue line ain't thin. That blue line is as thick as the history of law enforcement has been in this country as it applies to us. They want to protect themselves. They don't want to hold themselves accountable, and they want to treat us in the same form that the Constitution was formed, in the fact that we are less than human and we don't deserve the accountability when one, as you so aptly stated, Sister Ford, when one breaks the law, is held accountable, judged, held accountable in a court of law. But that's not fair. Still, let her go.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And they're so confident in their wrongness. That's the thing that blows me away, is that there's a group of people in this country, and I don't know. Maybe we're all capable of being that confident in our wrongness, but God help me, I don't want to be that wrong and that loud and put myself in a position where I am now actively harming another family who lost their loved one because my mindset. And when I see those people, I see twisted mentalities. I see people who think that Black life, like Dr. Mack said, is less valuable. They'll never say it. But at the end of the day, when you're willing to say a person who has killed someone, who has gone through due process and is now guilty, deserves to be free. And watch this, Georgia, you put us up on this game. All this is leading up to the sentencing this week, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, that's right. The sentencing is scheduled for this Friday, which we do plan to stream that. So we'll find out how long Kim Potter will serve. And when we look in Minnesota, I mean, the only other cases we can point to is Chauvin, who was sentenced to 22 years. However, he had, harsher charges, right? And then there's Mohammed Noor, who had similar charges as Kim Potter. And these were both two other former officers who were charged and convicted. Mohammed Noor was sentenced to, I believe, 12 years, but he appealed some of his charges. And so I believe his sentence was reduced. So there's a big question mark as to how much time Kim Potter is going to be serving. But this idea that you have people who are advocating for quote unquote blue lives when there is no such thing as a blue life. And this is a direct response to the advocacy for Black life. You know, we have this portion of the population that wants to uphold the badge and make it seem as though when you have that badge, you have a right to kill, with impunity. And this idea that, blue lives matter. Well, there is no such thing as a blue life. At the end of the day, the men and women who wear that uniform can go home and they can take it off. They can go home. They can choose a different profession if they want to. When you are born Black in this country, there ain't no walking out your skin. It is a part of who you are. And the way that this society has continuously dehumanized us and criminalized us, I think that the folks who are advocating for Black life have every right to protest and to be upset and continue doing what they're doing, right?
And Georgia, you said something, and based on your extensive coverage in Minnesota, you said that we don't have many of these cases to compare to. So can you speak to that? Being in Minnesota, clearly we can name the number of Black lives that have been taken. But Georgia, how many police officers have been held accountable prior to Chauvin for the killing of a Black man in that state that you know of?
The only one I know of is Muhammad Noor.
A Black man.
And the first case of a officer being held accountable was one where the cop was Black and the person who was killed was white. That was the first case.
A white woman.
Now, and see, the other thing is when you played that clip, the woman said something that is so American. She said, quote, "I'm not here to speak about anything that happened. I'm just here to support her. Be damned what happened. So what? I don't care if she was wrong. I don't care if Chauvin killed. I don't care if these police officers kill Black folks. We don't care. We're just here to support them." That is so American.
Yes, sir. That's an American move right there if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some ignorance to that, right? You're blindly supporting people, whether they're right or wrong. You're just standing behind them, and it's unfortunate. And when you think also about the criminal justice system, that where we've seen instances of Black people, like look at Central Park 5, right, where they were innocent and convicted.
Scarborough boys.
And how hard we have to fight to get innocent people out. And here you have someone who we have footage and evidence of their wrongdoing, yet and still you have white Americans that want to stand by them. Even think about the people who want free Rittenhouse, right? The people who supported him. It just continues to blow my mind. Last thing I'll note on this case of the Free Kim Potter protest, the main individual, he was a heavier set man, the one we saw talking to the officer, and he said, "Oh, you want us to leave?" The one who spoke with so much entitlement, he drove up in a big red pickup truck. And one thing I observed was lights that were positioned on the glass, almost by the dashboard, as though maybe he also was a cop. It looks like his vehicle could have been used in undercover situations, or and so I questioned whether or not he was an off-duty officer, and then also because of his communication that he had with officers when they arrived on the scene. It looked like he knew them, he was familiar with them, and he spoke with the entitlement of, like, I should have the right to be here and everybody else should have to leave. And that concerns me deeply as well, to live in Minnesota and know that potentially someone like him is an off-duty officer using his free time to free someone who has been justly convicted for killing another individual in our community.
Georgia, the one thing that I would say differently, as you said, there's an ignorance, the ignorance in its quintessential meaning means lack of knowledge. So when you talk about the amount of evidence that is being shown, there's footage of what Kim Potter did. There's been footage of what Rittenhouse did. So there is no ignorance here. So we should call it what it is. When they continuously take the approach that they do, in light of not ignorance, but information, because again, ignorance is lack of knowledge. When you got the footage and you have all of that, it comes completely out of the realm of ignorance. And it goes back to the core and the fabric of America as it applies to us. And we must call it what it is. This is where you don't value Black lives. And when you don't value the loss of a Black life, as a result of you being white, these folks being white, that in its quintessential meaning for me is white superiority. It is racism at its core.
Yeah. I'm just listening to both of you, and I think that's right. There's a veil of bigotry,
racism,
white supremacy. It is a complete. They have a complete inability. They have a complete inability to recognize the humanity of anyone else except for their own, and that is being brought to bear when they pull us over. Georgia, you were talking about the the possible police officer because of his disposition, his communication, and his vehicle. I'll just go a little bit step further and say every time we get pulled over, we are getting pulled over by someone who has a political ideology. We're getting pulled over by someone who has a political affiliation. And depending on where you are and who you get pulled over by, you might be getting pulled over by a Trump supporter. So I absolutely have no problem whatsoever identifying police officers outside of their blue shield, because underneath that shield is a political ideology, most likely conservatism, which is detrimental to the health of Black people.
Yeah. And this is all on the backdrop of a federal trial that is still happening in Minnesota, a federal trial for the other 3 officers who are charged in the death of George Floyd. The federal charges specifically are for violating George Floyd's civil rights. Yesterday, Darnella Frazier, the young, brave woman who filmed what happened to George Floyd, she attempted to take the stand, but she broke down. And it was almost like a trauma response. She couldn't get back on that stand. And so they took a pause, they took a moment and allowed her to regroup herself. But, that it reminded me of the state trial and all of the youth, the young people who witnessed this horrific murder, and how that has continued to haunt them and how that has impacted them. Judge Cahill in the state trial for Derek Chauvin ended up saying that there was no signs of trauma in the children. That was one of the aggregating factors the prosecution had presented in a argument to give Chauvin more time, right? The trauma and that these children have suffered through. But Judge Cahill said that there was no evidence of that. And I would argue that just even in Darnella Frazier's response to having to go back in this courtroom and her emotional breakdown in trying to testify is evidence that what these officers didn't just claim the life of George Floyd, but it has in some ways paralyzed many witnesses.
That's right.
For the rest of their lives.
Right. And Georgia, think about, now just go deeper into what Judge Cahill said, that there was no emotional drama. It's two things come to mind. Number one, you don't see my children as children. You don't even see my children as having emotions. You don't even see Black folks as having emotions. Not only is that the thing that comes to mind, but the other thing is, if there was no emotion, then explain to me how 26 million people took to the streets of this country, let alone around the world, because there was an emotional reaction to what we saw Chauvin do in committing that murder against George Floyd. See, that again is where you dehumanize not only us as a people, but you don't even think my babies have emotions. F you, Judge Hill. You ain't even a judge. Let's call you what you is. You sitting there on the bench with a sheet. Just happen to be wrapped in black this time. But that's who you are. When you can say that, when you can now look at my babies and not feel that they are watching a life, they're watching a murder being committed right in front of their very eyes, and you don't think that that has no sense of trauma, you've lost your ever-loving white racist mind, Judge.
Well, and he's under criticism now, further criticism, because he's the judge who signed the no-knock warrant.
No-knock warrant, that's
that
right.
led to the death of Amir Locke.
The degrees of separation here are ridiculous, Georgia. George, how did he say that they call? I was traumatized watching the video from thousands of miles away.
Yes.
I cannot watch the video.
Yes.
I was getting ready to yell at David about having images in here, but I realized that this is a compilation, so it's not his fault. I don't even want to see the video today.
Right.
It's triggering. Now, Brother Mac, I'm going to be honest with you. What you just said was even more triggering because you put it in the proper context, right? The proper context is they don't see our children as human.
Right. And
that's triggering to me. I'm going to yield the floor.
And Ben, when you can't do that, I'm going to call you what you are. See? You don't even see me as human. I'm gonna take you back to the fabric of the Constitution. That's the way the Constitution was built for this country. And now this fool sits on a bench, supposed to be rendering justice, and you want to look at my babies. I'm with you. I remember when my mother called me, my mama called me from Mississippi crying because of what she saw. And now you don't think this has a triggering effect on my children? And you want to sit at the bench and say that?
Wait.
The
child who recorded it in real time, and could hear the voice.
Yes,
I don't want to be too dramatic, but that judge has lost his damn mind.
No, it ain't about being dramatic. This is it, and this is part of the problem, Ben. We want to sit here. We can't sit here and talk about
play some music.
Calmly.
No, Brother Mac, I gotta play some music, man. I gotta get out of here.
Well, I'm going to continue to follow the federal trial. Obviously, it's a lot more difficult to report on because we can't film anything. And there's a lot more restrictions in terms of access. But we do know the prosecution's resting their case. So the defense is going to have an opportunity to call forth their witnesses. And from there, they'll have closing arguments. So not exactly sure how many witnesses the defense has, but they will be wrapping up soon. So I'll continue to follow it. A lot of people want to know whether or not the other three officers are going to be held responsible as well for what happened to George Floyd, for their lack of intervening and assisting him. So we'll see. We'll continue to follow that. And then the state trial in that case for the other three officers has been pushed to June. So we'll continue to follow those.
Yes, George. Thank you. Thank you for carrying us low, because I can't. Thank you for what you're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We'll be back with more of the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show right after this break.
Got more coming up next on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. Like it or not, it's starting momentarily, y'all. Y'all make sure that you stay tuned. Good morning, everybody. Ziggy, good morning. Miss Nuru, Hollywood, Queen Abby, Barbara, Brother Chuck Diesel, Roller Dragon, what's going on? Say good morning. Mom and Daddy, good morning. See, I know y'all out there somewhere. Juanita Courtney, the SRB, Street Dragon, good morning. Jacob Whitney Woods, good morning. Afraid Not, Indian Brown, Ill Hustler. Sophia, hey, Miss Sophia. Jay, good morning to you. Brother Latif, what's going on? On and on it goes, what's going on? Good morning. Six Dragon Daddy. Christopher Shaw, good morning. Queen Abby, One Source Productions, what's going on? 1 ATL Country Boy, good morning to you. Peter Low Frequency, what's going on? Alicia, good morning. Miss Nuru. Valley Girls, good morning.
All I want is satisfaction. Make a move, baby. You
Smash, good morning to you.
Give me that good reaction. Gonna make it right, little like an offer I can't refuse.
Big Peace, what's going on? Stoic, good morning to you. Good morning, Lily. Mary C, good morning. Marine Ransom, Jason March, good morning. Truth the Dragon, good morning again. Courtney the SLP, good morning. Anna Loom, good morning to you. All right, y'all, we're going to get our new patrons and our new Twitch subscribers read off really quick. Amber Layla, good morning. All right, y'all, shout out to Luke K. Luke Kang, what's going on, Luke? You subscribe to the new patron to the BPD. Arthur L. increased their pledge by 10 times. Shout out Arthur L. We appreciate you, Arthur. 10 times. 10X is what I see. 10 times. We appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you. Mary C. doubled their pledge. More than doubled their pledge. Mary C. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, Mary. Our new Twitch subscribers. We have MX Slytherin who resubscribed with Prime and commented happy to support. Been subscribed for 6 months. This cute cat resubscribed. And they've been subscribed for over a year. Hot crap. All right, sis cute cat, good morning to you. Burgle Cut resubscribed and been subscribed for 2 months. Sunshine Drea resubscribed and been subscribed for 5 months. Catcher Friend 00 has been subscribed for 5 months as well. Blue Daddy, shout out to Blue Daddy who resubscribed with Prime. Appreciate you. A 420 Kitty Dragon resubscribed and said, love to everyone here. Y'all keep me sane. And they've been subscribed for 6 months. Progressive Armor resubscribed and commented, thanks to Chicken Fried Dragon. Thanks for my sub gift. And they've been subscribed for 8 months. Shout out to Chicken Fried Dragon. Trekkie21 resubscribed and commented, thanks to Benjamin Dixon and the rest of the team who gives out news and entertainment every week. They've been subscribed for 8 months. Chicken Fried Dragon also gifted a subscription to Miss Drez Dragon. JN Lee 1981 gifted a subscription to fellow ActTV content creator James from the internet. Now, there was so much confusion when we started doing the ActTV stuff. Everybody was like, James leaked it. James leaked it. It wasn't me. It was James from the internet who leaked it. Not this James, the other James. So shout out to James from the internet. We appreciate you. And also Industrial Arts. What's up, brother? Get the five community subscriptions. Industrial Arts, we appreciate you, sir. And happy belated birthday to Black Dragon. That's my dog. Hey, man, if you have not already, patreon.com/likeitornot, patreon.com/the BPD show. Also, make sure that y'all go to act.tv and become a member as well, too. Y'all don't want to miss out on that, man. Make sure that y'all stay tuned. Like It or Not is starting up next here on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. Good morning, everybody. Shout out Brother Latif, who was two-stepping in the driveway while the kids are coming. Got your infinite content. Good morning to you. All Really quickly, there was something that I found out about yesterday, and I'm like, man, why is it that I'm just now finding out about this? And I felt that it was it needed to be shared, because if I didn't know, just think about how many other people did not know as well too. So the next clip is part of our not only Black History Month, but also Black Gay History. That's a good way to put it. So, David, please roll that clip for us, and we are going to talk about our brother here. My gosh, Bayard Rustin. David, roll that clip, please.
The March on Washington, a breakthrough achievement in the fight for civil rights in America. Yet why was one of the event's architects forced to work in the shadows? Bayard Rustin was one of Martin Luther King's key advisors, introducing Gandhi's practices of nonviolence into the campaign. As a gay man, Rustin often became a target for those looking to discredit the civil rights movement, and he was kept out of the spotlight by leaders. But his talents were undeniable, and Rustin was chosen to orchestrate the March on Washington. While Rustin organized, Senator Strom Thurmond labeled him a communist, draft dodger, and homosexual. Dr. King came to his public defense, and in just 8 weeks, Rustin was able to help bring 250,000 people to the National Mall. Despite the challenges Bayard Rustin faced inside and outside the civil rights movement, he was able to change history.
Yes, y'all. Make sure I had to share that with y'all. Bayard Rustin did not know Black gay man assisted with the March on Washington, and was also one of the advisors to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., man. Don't want to forget this Black history, because not only history, it's Black gay history as well too. So we don't want to stricken anybody from this record, and we're gonna let it be known. So shout out to Bayard Rustin for everything that he did for us, and we appreciate that love. So make sure that y'all stay tuned, man. Like it or not, it's coming up next. Y'all stay tuned, man. That was my moment in Black history. Love y'all, mean it.
Man, I miss my mom so. Ask me how it feels. I say it feels too real. When you pick up speed, what's pitch black weed? Well, you got
Jane Henson, that's right, sir. 250,000 people in 8 weeks.
What about your heart?
8 weeks.
Must be too hard, not us.
Johnson, who knows? I'm not sure, but I'm still searching and researching. So could be not B. Johnson.
Cause I'm a brand new model with a brand new model. Yeah, I called out Carlos. Said I won't be calling. He said at my own tempo. It wouldn't make much sense, so yeah.
All right, y'all. Y'all know what time it is, but before we get to that, y'all know what we have to do. Like it or not, it's going down. Shout out, brother Luke Kang. What's going on? Y'all stick around. Oh, Rebecca's on. It's coming through. But not today, though. She got a work pain, so she won't be joining us today. But yeah. Good story for you. Oh, Benjamin, that's my dog. This is his show. He's a politics bro. Brittany Woods, right? I definitely would have been a gay communist draft dodger. Okay, fuck all the crap y'all wanted about me. I stay dropping them jams. Like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not. That's right, Lee. The man is trying to take Rebecca away from us. Oh, like it or not, it's starting now. Like it or not, it's about to go down.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, people.
Good morning, and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth
and not care who doesn't like it.
I was going to see if Brother Mac was going to jump in.
I forgot. Look,
I know my role. Good morning. Hey, Brother DJ, let me also say this about Baynard Rustin is, people simply want to remember him for what he did with the March on Washington, but many in the civil rights movement icons that we know of, A. Philip Randolph, for whom he worked to end racial discrimination in employment. It did that. The Freedom Rise, and you have to remember how powerful the Freedom Rise were, that was organized by SNCC and John Lewis. As a result, he helped organize those Freedom Rise, and we're talking about rise in which folks got on buses, and you want to talk about going into the lion's den.
That's right.
Buses got burned, people got beat up, people got arrested.
That's right.
John Lewis was a part of that. Diane Nash was a part of that. So, he worked with all of these people along with King. Ella Baker, and most folks don't know about the quiet she wrote that is known as Ella Baker, but Ella Baker was the one who, on the heels of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, in concert with Dr. King, called out because of what happened with the 4 freshmen at North Carolina A&T in that monument that we now know as February 1. They are the ones that ignited all of these young people across the South to start these sit-in movements. And then through Ella Baker, whom Baynard Rustin was working in, helped call these folks to Shaw University and form SNCC. And of course, we know the powerful history of SNCC. So Baynard Rustin was an absolutely powerful individual in which all of the great iconic leaders of the civil rights movement had a profound respect for that brother.
Yeah, absolutely awesome, Dr. Mac. Thank you for that. And I definitely, I know we talked about it, but definitely have to get Mom on. Mom has some history to share because my grandmother actually helped, was one of the organizers that helped with the March on Selma, and some of the bus rides as well too. So she has a lot of information. And one day she was just talking to me, and I'm just like, Mom, I never knew a lot of this information. So definitely when Mom comes on, she has like a wealth of knowledge to share about my grandmother, and just hearing it just makes my heart smile. Love to hear it.
And Ben, this is what we were talking about earlier about the further we're getting away from our history, the less it appears that we're learning about it. So DJ, I would implore you to sit with Mama Gwen.
That's
and
right.
Don't just talk about her love, the love that her and I have for each other. Don't just talk about that, but get inside the history.
I guess, Dr. Mac, I guess.
This show
takes up so much of the conversation. I don't know what to do.
I know. And Mama Gwen, my heart is full. And I hope you got the 500 dozen of roses I sent to you yesterday.
I'm glad you put it at a number where everyone understood context. Because I didn't want you to say something, then she go looking for them roses. I'm like, come on, man, we ain't got no time for broken hearts around here. We don't do broken hearts on the Benjamin Dixon.
Hey, all I gotta say, Ben and DJ, is that if she didn't get them roses, I'm calling the florist company up right now, and I'm gonna
the florist
happened to my roses.
Hey, David? We're in StreamYard, so you can pull up websites. Did y'all see that meme going around saying your work husband sitting there waiting for real husbands to slip up on Valentine's Day? Y'all saw that meme?
Oh yeah, you know what today is, right?
What's that, husband?
Today is National Side Piece Day. It about to be so many people at Cheesecake Factory and Papa Do's today.
He said Papa Do's. Listen, I ain't got nothing to say about it other than I spent my Valentine's Day with my wife, and I'm gonna spend the day after Valentine's Day with my wife. Let me get my head off the chopping block there. Kodak Black, James, I want to throw an audible because I saw we have all this wonderful these headlines that are being brought to us by Black Press. Black Press is the company that is run by Georgia Fort. And in that footage, we had footage of Kodak Black from the home team. For me, I'm from Pompano. He went to Ely High School. I went to Ely High School. He got shot at Justin Bieber's party. I'm not sure what the occasion was. It's kind of crazy when you first hear the story. And I ain't gonna say you, I'm gonna say me. I'm gonna take the fall for this. When I first heard the story, I'm like, what kind of ghetto-ish is going on now? They about to, I didn't know if the boy had made it. I was getting mad because he was from the home team. Then I find out nah, this happened at Justin Bieber's party.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it was.
Go ahead, James. Yeah,
I was about to say it was outside of Justin Bieber's party. It was a Super Bowl party, and apparently, I don't know if he was fighting someone or I guess something that carried over outside. And once he started fighting, that's when guns started blazing.
You go before we get to that story. This is the meme, brother Mac. Work husbands. He didn't get you nothing for Valentine's. I'd never do you like that. Why?
Why I got to be in the call center? It's always in the call center.
And why is he sitting like that?
Right. Oh, he ain't get you nothing for Valentine's Day.
I got you, baby. It's also the work husband is also equal to food bay. Food bay. So don't ever send your wife out without money for lunch, because there's a bunch of food bays sitting there waiting to take your wife out to dinner. Anyway, I digress. Back to Kodak Black. And I just really want to talk about it because it would have been. I don't want to make everything about race, but this is America. Everything is about race. If this had been flipped, if Justin Bieber had been shot at a Kodak Black event, even if he had just got like a flesh wound, like just a little graze, man, this would be all over the Today Show. This would be over everything. There's a value that's placed on the life of white artists, white people, that is not transferred. And I didn't mean to tie it directly to what we got through talking about, Dr. Mack, but here it is. Another case in point. You have a black rapper who is shot. He's going to be fine. It was, he had to have, they had to go to the hospital. So it was a real injury. But much of the conversation is just kind of moved past it. And I just don't think it would be the same if the darling Justin Bieber had been the one who got shot at a black party. I know that's a huge speculation, but everything that I've seen in my life tells me that might be the case. Or do you think it would have been the same?
I don't know, brother.
No.
I'm gonna leave that between you and DJ. I'm gonna sit on the sideline with the pom-poms and
okay.
Brother, one thing I love about Brother Mac, he know what conversations not to get into.
Right. I think it's still no, I don't think it would have been the same. No, for the simple fact it's at Justin Bieber's party. I think that's what's making it blow up so much. Take off Justin Bieber and just if you would have just said a Super Bowl party, oh, this would have been all over the place. Like, we can't, why are these rappers doing this and that, blah, blah, blah. The narrative would have been real different. But so now, but Ben, I think you're right, though, Ben. I honestly think you're right, though. Had it have been Justin Bieber was shot at a Kodak Black party, then everybody would have been like, oh, it's expected. It's that kind of party.
And then you have, I don't know, there's an emphasis that's placed on Black music. And I'm going way off the script here. This is not a segment we even prepared for, so feel free to pull us out at any time anybody want to move to another subject. But I really feel that in these kind of instances, man, we see a clear juxtaposition in value in terms of in narratives. Like, we're covering it, but I'm covering it because I'm from Pompano, right? I'm covering it because I'm not even because I'm a fan of Kodak Black. I'm not really a fan of his music, but I'm covering it because, I've seen this happen so many times with Black rappers. I've seen so many, there seems to be a huge uptick in the number of rappers who are getting killed. And there was a minute there, like, I'm gonna show you how old I am. East Coast versus West Coast. That's when all the killings to me, but now we've had a renaissance. We had a renaissance, and it's particularly targeting our young Black rappers. I mean, they're out here getting killed for real. So this is why my alarms went off when I saw this story. I thought maybe he had got, but I'm glad that he's still with us.
Right. And Ben, you're right. Is this going to delay the Kodak Black Mother's Day? Look at it, terrible.
Jesus Christ.
But Ben, yeah, you're right though. It's one of those things where now that narrative is going to be, you remember, I think, what was it, the 80s, the 90s, how they used to portray Black music or rap music, that it was caused so many killings and deaths that everybody was going out killing everybody. I think it's going to spark up that narrative again. Yeah.
And then obviously so many other parts of that. I want to shift real quick to the HBCUs. I want to jump on this. Last week we covered multiple HBCUs getting death threats, and that investigation is ongoing.
Bomb threats.
Bomb threats. Thank you. Bomb threats. And so those investigations are going on. I have a clip from our friends over at The Recount, and they actually went one step further. They said, let's take a little bit deeper dive into what's happening at HBCUs. And they're finding out that what we knew as Black folks, HBCUs are systematically treated differently by state and federal governments. Let's take a listen into the reporting from the recount.
On the very first day of Black History Month, at least a dozen bomb threats were made against historically Black colleges and universities. This sort of harassment is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to injustices facing HBCUs. Here are three major inequities HBCUs are dealing with. Funding inequality. These schools are receiving less government funding even when it's legally required. In 2020, the Tennessee General Assembly granted nearly $70 million to the University of Tennessee, which has a 77% white student body. And the historically Black Tennessee State University only got $8.7 million. Both schools are considered land-grant universities, which qualifies them to receive federal funding. In Tennessee, the state legislature is supposed to match whatever federal funding the schools receive, but the state didn't provide any matched funding for TSU until 2017. And Tennessee Representative Harold Love found that the state underpaid the HBCU by up to $500 million. And it's not just Tennessee. Ivy League schools like Harvard and Yale sell tax-exempt bonds to raise cash. Studies have shown that HBCUs have a harder time securing bonds, and they pay more for them. On an average $30 million bond, HBCUs are paying $35,000 more in fees than mostly white universities. Coronavirus relief inequality. When it came to federal relief for higher education institutions disrupted by the pandemic, of the $14 million given out, only 10% of that money was divided among all 107 HBCUs. And since about 3/4 of HBCU students fall into the lower income bracket, combine that with the fact that people in lower income housing have a harder time accessing reliable internet access, remote classes can become a huge challenge. Unequal campus infrastructure. A 2018 report found that almost all HBCUs reported that about 50% of their facilities needed repair. Some of the oldest campuses have buildings that date back to the 1800s. After years of deferred maintenance due to budget concerns, Grambling State University had to close a library because it became an environmental hazard. These historic institutions are not only providing a critical pipeline into the workforce, they are essential threads in the fabric of American society. Their neglect impacts the entire country, and there's a huge responsibility on elected leaders to ensure that they thrive.
Shout out to the team over at the Recount for putting that together. 1/3 of that I knew. I knew about the disparity in funding, but actually I don't want to say nothing. Brother Mac, what you got? Because that blows me.
Well, I mean, I'll go back to the original bomb threats. To these HBCUs. I want us to remember back in, I think it was 95, 96. I think it was like an 18-month period when all of a sudden you had this rash of Black churches being burned all over the place. So, right now what we're seeing is another example of, as things ramp up, why are these Black historical HBCUs being targeted? See, keep in mind what's going on in American society, American politics today. The layers of onions are being pulled back on what happened on January 6th with Trump. And think about how many folks in this country truly believe that the election was stolen. Now they're seeing that this big lie is being unraveled right in front of their very eyes. We're seeing people like Mitch McConnell, who at one point condemned Trump, then went on the support of Trump, now coming back and saying, no, it was an insurrection, because they're looking at what the Constitution says. The Constitution says that if you've been a part of any part of an insurrection to overthrow this government, you can't serve in those positions. So you're now beginning to see these people walk themselves back on these types of situations. But more importantly, you've been able to see police officers who are killing Black folks being held accountable. And as a result of that, you're beginning to see this backlash in this country. And so now that backlash is stemming over, I believe, towards attacks on anything Black.
That's
right. They like HBCUs, let's go after that. And here in this area, in the DC area, they had a rash of bomb threats against schools that were primarily high schools that were primarily attended by Black and other minority students. We're seeing at the high school level as well. So this is what is taking place. And then the other thing, you and Brother DJ, remember now, as the January 6th Commission continues its finding, they're talking about the attack on democracy and the rise that people want to pretend like the idea is so far-fetched that you can see militias forming up and beginning to attack government officials, attack democracy. But more and more that they pull that layer back, you're seeing it in the underground, much talk about this types of actions as we move towards, quote, a more perfect society.
That's right.
Yeah. You know, and I know Cookman got one. Ben Bethune-Cookman was on that list, and theirs was pretty significant. You know, they said that there were going to be 7 book bags placed on campus with C4, and also a gunman was going to be on campus. Now they're saying that they know that there are some teens or some juveniles responsible for this, like 6 to 8 juveniles. They still don't know who they are, so they claim. But they also say that a good bit of them have ties to neo-Nazi roots. So my thing is, when does this stop becoming threats and when does it start becoming actions? That's a scary thought to think about.
Well, see, DJ, you know, the thing that we need to keep in mind here is that the most powerful nations in the world are those nations that have arguably the most powerful technology. Trust and believe. This country should be able to find out exactly where those threats are coming from. If we can go back, Ben, think about this, Ben. How is it that they were able to tie the interference of a national election back to Russia? Because we were able, through our technology, to find out where the sources are coming from. Trust and believe, America. If you wanted to find who these little kids are, and let's assume that they're little white kids, were they inspired by Rittenhouse because they saw him obtain a gun illegally and come out of state, cross over there, and now kill some Black folks and then get acquitted for it? Is he their hero? But trust and believe, you have the capability of finding out where these threats are coming from. And if for whatever reason it's coming from these little white kids, I'm just saying if, and if it is, since you've been able to treat my children when they do something that's despicable, well, first of all, let me back that up. Let me walk that back, because Black children ain't done nothing that damn.
Hey, what about come on?
But if you find these folks who are doing this, I want the absolute book thrown at them. I want to bury so damn deep in jail, and I don't want to hear shit about the mother didn't know and father didn't know. No. We don't want to hear
a rough childhood. I don't want to hear none of that.
I don't want to hear that. You got the technology. You got the wherewithal to send bomb threats to institutions of higher learning targeting Black folks, and do not, under any circumstance, try to tell me that this ain't based on race.
Come on.
They're not sending them to PWIs. These are the historical Black colleges and universities. Why did they go to Jackson State? Did they go to Jackson State because Prime Time was able to take Travis Hunter, one of the highest rated athletes who was supposed to be going to a PWI, and convince him to come here?
Because that's when it started. Because that's when, if I'm not mistaken, my memory says that it was after that decision that we started getting these bomb threats, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But the other thing is, I just can't help but keep tying it back to everything we talked about today, right? The grace that they give these little white chitlins, right? They give them the grace of calling them tech savvy teens. That's the headline. The headline over the people that did a bomb threat against HBCUs was tech savvy teens,
not terrorists.
Not terrorists,
right? Not terrorists.
They're cyber terrorists. That's who they are. But Ben, you're so absolutely correct, and that is, and Ben, just to bring it back to Chappelle. See, this is what I'm saying. When you look at the narrative,
I got a big pillow over here. You're wrong on Chappelle. No, go ahead.
I know, but when you look at the narrative, that we always have to remember. I remember when Katrina hit. Right? When Katrina hit, they showed a picture of a Black man in chest deep water and said he got food because he looted.
That's
then
right.
They showed a picture of white folks in chest deep water with food and said they found food. See, have to pay attention to the subtleness of at which they put this type of information out there. Tech savvy teams. No, they're little young terrorists. They're like the little cockroaches.
Brother Mac, you are a brilliant intellectual barbarian. You was a ruthless ass.
He say intellectual barbarian, man.
He could have took me to the Spielberg thing and called me E.T. for educated thug.
There you go. You call the look is. Oh man, I want to let's shift a little bit. Let's shift a little bit back to the Super Bowl, because there's a couple things the couple clips that I didn't get a chance to share. The halftime show. I want to read this post that Dr. Cornel West.
The halftime show.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to start again with saying that halftime show was fire as hell.
Bruh, it was not only fire as hell, it was black as hell. When I tell you, I was over here crying. I'm like, man, this is the blackest crap I've ever seen on Super Bowl, besides Janet Jackson's nipple being shown. This was the blackest thing ever doing Super Bowl. I was like, damn, that was like so black. It's black, blacker than Whoopi's gums. Blacker than my lips black. Just black. It was black.
James, flag on the play. Flag on the play, man. We got to get your jokes improved. No, we don't. No, we don't.
Hey,
blacker than Wesley Snipes.
Yeah. But I'm gonna say this to both of you, even as we prepare to go inside this clip. Even though I enjoyed that halftime show and I thought it was the best halftime show that I ever saw at the Super Bowl, trust and believe, NFL, you're not gonna sway me away from the anger and the fire I have.
Amen, Dr. Matt.
You racist owners and what you did to Brian Flores. I am not backing off of it.
Right.
Yeah, you gave me a momentary feeling of appreciation for what I saw on the entertainment level.
My thread on
entertainment level.
Brian Flores still resides in the forefront of my cranium.
That's right. We don't forget. I'm not gonna forget. I'm gonna look to see where Dave Chappelle put that $65 million, even if it takes 10 years, Brother Mac. We don't forget.
Ben, I'm gonna tell you something right now. You better, you know what? I want the Ben Dixon Morning Show to start the Humanitarian of the Year award, and I want that award to go to Dave Chappelle, and you're going to present it to him, Ben Dixon.
I tell you what, I'm gonna have to think about that. I'm gonna think about it. How we're gonna make that work? Because I like people who are men of their words. If he holds his truth, I still can't get that man. I love Dave Chappelle, but I could never give him a humanitarian award. Not yet. But I do want to, before we go off of that deep end, because we're gonna have to have a pretty big pillow fight over that, because we ain't gonna have no real fight. I ain't fighting your intellectual barbarian ass. Here's Dr. Cornel West saying the exact same thing that you just said, Dr. Mac. He said the Super Bowl halftime performance displayed our great black musical tradition, but it was also a missed opportunity for truth-telling about Brian Flores' challenge to the NFL's plantation system. Aside from Brother Eminem kneeling, the political silence of our artists was sad. I mean, that's Dr. West. Thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Listen, Ben, let me be clear. With the social consciousness that I have, were I asked to participate at that halftime show, in light of what is happening with Brian Flores, trust and believe, I would have rejected it. I would have literally said I am not performing, and specifically why I'm not performing. I am not performing at this show. I get the opportunity that it could afford me, but I'm also looking at the sacrifice of what this brother is making. And if change is going to become a part of it, then don't think that you can use me to cloud the vision of what we as Black folks should truly see. And that is an institution that is worth billions and billions of dollars under a nonprofit status. Lord help me, I don't understand that aspect of it. But for almost 100+ years, you have treated Black players, Black coaches, as though it was a plantation system. And the only way that we've been able to get around it is to continuously fight it. Not only did you do it, first you wanted to exclude Black players.
That's right.
Then when it came to quarterback, and that's why we celebrated Doug Williams the way we did, because I remember when so many of you believed that Blacks didn't have the intellectual, the mental capability of being the general, to be the quarterback on the field, and you kept them out. I'm not going to forget about all them yards that Warren Moon had up in the Canadian Football League because you wouldn't give him an opportunity to play quarterback here. I'm not going to remember how when blacks were drafted for quarterback, drafted after playing quarterback in college, you now wanted to convert them to a receiver, a running back, hell, maybe even a linebacker. I'm not going to forget those things. I'm not going to forget the fact that you got so many talented black players who are now sitting on the sidelines, being offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, coming up through the ranks, more than qualified to be black coaches, and you won't do it. And you think that I'm going to forget about all that because I heard Snoop and Dr. Dre and Mary J. Blige and 50 Cent. I ain't forgetting. My memory is worth more than 50 Cent.
No, actually,
yeah,
wait a minute. We're laughing because it was funny, but damn it, that's the takeaway. Our memory is longer than that halftime show. We ain't gonna forget just because y'all. But see that Pied Piper thing, I don't think it ever worked on us. I think white folks fooled themselves into thinking that they could just control black people. Right? Put a little music out there, they'll be all right. Do a little of this. Nah, we ain't never been controlled by you all. We have just very methodically maneuvered our way through your system. I want to play one other clip real quick that echoes everything we're saying here. And this is from David Zirin. He said, and it's a saying, I want to play the clip of him expressing it. And this is what he says. As the expression goes, speaking of the NFL, they want all of the rhythm of black culture, but none of the blues. Let's take a listen.
Amen.
Boom. But
See, this was very predictable. I mean, here's the National Football League, which has a reputation for bathing in black culture, but not necessarily supporting that with black employment in positions of power. This is the crux of what the NFL's PR problem is right now with America. You know, as the expression goes, they want all of the rhythm of black culture, but none of the blues. So they're in this position where they do this halftime show that is very much this expression of, hey, this is hip hop. We're the National Football League. We're down with the youth, even though the youth is more people like my age, given some of the acts that were on display. But at the same time, they're in this position where they're facing this lawsuit by Brian Flores about hiring practices and about how things happen behind closed doors in the National Football League. So right now they're in a position where they're both trying to be everything to everybody, while at the same time trying to not push away a young audience that is more demographically diverse and less tolerant of intolerance than any generation in the history of the United States, while at the same time trying not to lose their, for lack of a better term, red state appeal and continue to be, and it's very difficult to do in this incredibly polarized country, but they want to continue to be the closest thing we have to a monoculture in the United States. I mean, the top 100 television shows that were watched last year, 75 of them were NFL games.
See, now Ben, you know, Ben, it's commonly known in the Ben Dixon Morning Show family that I don't show up to the production meetings. I have no idea who David Zirin is. This is the first time I've seen this clip. But see, when you don't forget history, how is it that me and this guy, I've never heard what he said, but we have literally echoed the exact same sentiment. I didn't know what Cornel West said, but we have echoed the exact same sentiments.
That's right.
This is what we must understand. Now, I want to take you back and remind you of what you may not have subtly noticed back during the Colin Kaepernick situation. When Kaepernick was kneeling and it became such a fuss, I want you to go back and look at damn near every football game that was played, especially if it was nationally televised. They had black people singing the national anthem. I said, ain't this some Jerry Lewis and yeah. You could see it. You could see it clearly.
Man.
This is what they believe. And then what did they do after that? Now you got Roger Goodell forming a relationship with who?
Jay.
Who?
Wait, I might miss the timeline.
Who did Roger Goodell form his relationship with in the music industry?
Jay-Z.
The BAM. See, let me get these Negroes some crumbs so we can continue on with what's really important.
You see, Dr. Mack made me second guess myself, James.
And even when you come back and you take a look at when they hired these black coaches, I want you to understand what Brian Flores said. I want you to understand what Hugh Jackson said. Hugh Jackson said, I was 1-31, and they still gave me a contract extension. Why? Why did they do it? Because, see, they wanted to position themselves. So when you want to dismiss what Brian Flores said, that the owner of the Dolphins wanted to pay him up to $100,000 to go ahead and lose games so they can get themselves these high draft picks. Don't dismiss it, because Hugh Jackson showed you he got a contract extension when he was 1-31. Look at what happened down in Houston now that they done hired Lovie Smith. Houston knew that they didn't have the horses, but they put these black faces out there. And then they have these big these monumental losing seasons, knowing that they ain't got the players or the horses or the infrastructure to compete. But then once they get those draft choices, instead of letting that black talent sit there and handle that, now they bring in their white faces on the head coach.
That's right.
I'll say it again. I used to be a staunch supporter of the Cowboys. I was such a Cowboy fan that if the Cowboys lost on Sunday, I wouldn't go to work on Monday. So I know how rabid Cowboy fans can be. And now you got Mike McCarthy there with all the horses he's got, all the players he's got, and he still can't win. But Jerry Jones is so patient with him, But was he patient with Emmitt Smith when Emmitt was an absolute beast? Didn't want to pay him. Emmitt had to sit out. Was he patient with Dak Prescott? Didn't want to pay Dak. Dak had to, things had to come around. But Tony Romo never won a damn playoff game. Unload the Brinks truck to him. Troy Aikman, he should have paid Troy.
Yeah, I was Troy.
But to my point, I don't want us to get confused and sidetracked by what the NFL do. This is their quote unquote playbook. When something happens, let's go to the one industry that we know black folks can resonate with, music. I don't care if it's to just get them to sing the national anthem. Let's do it.
That's right.
So that halftime show, it doesn't deter me away from what's happening with Brian Flores' family.
That's right.
And I don't want it to deter none of you.
That's right. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna forget that easily. Last aspect of the Super Bowl before we move on. I know this is Tuesday, but we're not live on Monday, so we're gonna talk about it anyway. Riots. We see this all the time. Black folks protest on behalf of Black life. They call us rioters, even though we ain't riot. Not for real. Nah. Check out Watts. But when a football game is lost on the collegiate level or on the professional level, white folks get out here and get a little rowdy, and they actually do some rioting. So I want to take a
little rowdy.
Yeah. Let's take a look at D1, which is Super Bowl riots. It's comparing Los Angeles to Philadelphia. Let's take a look. That's a short clip, and then to the listening audience, you can't really discern what's happening, but it's showing the kind of chaos that happens. Sometimes this doesn't even happen after a loss, Dr. Mack. I've seen this happen.
These are with wins. These are all with wins.
It's just something, man. The value and the range of acceptable demonstrations of emotion, I'm gonna minimize it to that. I'm gonna reduce it. The acceptable range of emotions that are expressed by white people in this country is not afforded to black folks. Because if we go out here and do this on behalf of Black life, they'll send out the National Guard.
Oh yeah, Ben, this is not rioting, Ben. This is celebrating.
And
you
so
said it wrong. Not rioting, celebrating. That's how they juxtapose. That's the difference.
DJ and Brother Ben, I shall give you a quote, and this is your Black History Jeopardy moment. The media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and make the guilty innocent. Media has the power to influence minds, ideas, behaviors, and attitudes of the masses. And that quote comes from who?
Malcolm.
Ding, 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 ding. Ben, you're the winner. That's right. That's exactly what we're seeing. So, DJ, that is exactly what you're talking about. It's a celebration. They just caught up with their enthusiasm. Oh, look at the happiness of the Los Angeles fans, the Philadelphia fans.
Yeah.
That's the way the media portrays the story. The most powerful entity on the earth.
Which is why I think, honestly, damn it, we're here. God, I didn't want to circle back to Dave Chappelle, but I can't. I'm like a moth to the flame, man.
When you come back, you better come back righteous, Ben.
I'm righteous. which is why I honestly think the media. I don't think the media is. I think our system is malicious enough to literally use the media in that way. That's what I'm saying. Like at the end of the day with Dave Chappelle, we are going to have to pause and wait to see his response with his money, because that's what he said. He said that if this project goes forward, I'm pulling my money. So my analysis actually has to be put on pause until we see his actions. That said, the media component of it, I think, is probably one of the most insidious forms of propaganda, because this wasn't a mistake. The idea of them getting it wrong around the affordable housing piece, that all to me sounds like a really sophisticated PR campaign, because the affordable housing piece is the only thing that's not going forward. Everything else is going forward.
I don't think Chappelle's money gonna be going forward, but we shall wait and see.
Okay, well then,
and when it doesn't, you better get that humanitarian award and give it to Dave Chappelle.
I don't know if humanitarian. Well, I'll give him something. You know what I'll give him? I was wrong award. Ben was wrong about this one award. I think I could give that one to somebody more than I can give him a humanitarian award. But if he turns out.
Let me just say this right now. DJ Exclusive, you just looking like you just sitting on the throne of the world right now. I just want to take a moment and say you're looking like the royal king of the African nation. Damn,
what
boy, you looking
what
good.
am I looking like? What did they call him in Coming to America? Dang, what did he call the girls in Coming to America?
Which side? Which part?
What was he that James Earl Jones in the first one? Oh my gosh.
The royal I just remember the scene where your Royal Highness, your Royal
right.
King is That's all I remember.
Like you remember it being
I don't remember what they were called. The Dora Milaje, maybe. No, I'm joking. I'm sorry. Shout out to the Black Panther family. Man, I really am a horrible person at the end of the day. James, let's do some light stuff real quick. I'm going to call an audible here, and since Rebecca's not here, we're going to end the show in about 12 minutes. But we got a lot of backup of material that we haven't used in the after party. David, you're going to have to announce them. Tell us what we're getting ready to watch, and then we'll go from there. Oh
David!
Wait a minute. Who let a white man on my show?
I swear though, I'm gonna tell you, David does not look white. David look like he mixed with something. I don't know. I think y'all all fooling me. This is like a big ass joke. David is not white. I mean, he probably is, but David is not white. What's up, David?
What's going on, everyone? Good morning. Yeah, no, I had to show my face a little bit, and
right.
Who would have guessed David was white?
You know what people are saying right now?
I had no idea.
People are all saying right now, not all people, they're saying like, you can't get nothing black without some white in the background. That's what
But there's a reason I stay off screen, you know.
I hate y'all.
I don't want the spotlight.
All right.
All right, so before we run out of time, before we go to the clips, I wanted to highlight two things that we missed recently from Letterhack.
Letterhack is the artist, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Our artist of the left, the cartoonist of the left. So I'll start with the oldest one. This is Georgia Fort as Batwoman.
That's right. Because one day on the episode, I said, whenever Georgia Fort, look at that. That's amazing. Shout out to Letterhack. He does this for us all the time. One day on the episode, I said, when I feel like anytime it was something that happened on the show and Georgia had to get out of here, right? She had to go to the field and cover action that was actually happening. And I said, man, Georgia got out of here like she saw the bat signal.
Right.
And then before the episode was over, he had drawn this for her.
Let her have it.
That's what's up. What else you got, David? Shout
and
out
then,
to
you know, Ben's always complaining. And I don't think he meant this reference, but it was spot on. And I'm glad Letterhack caught it because I knew it felt familiar.
Which one is this? What is this?
I'll get no respect on my own damn show. I'll get no respect. No respect.
So for the listening audience, this is I forget his name, but I know
Rodney Dangerfield.
Rodney
Dangerfield.
Dangerfield. Yeah,
he drew me as a black Rodney Dangerfield. I didn't know. None. Brother Mac just openly tell everybody he don't give a damn about my production meetings.
Okay.
Rebecca comes when she wants to come. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't get no damn respect, but we got the dopest show in the country.
I respect you, Ben. On like days that don't end in Y.
All I gotta say, man, is Letterhack, you are an absolute genius. Letterhack is a genius.
Benjamin P. Dixon, no respect. God,
I think we got to get Letterhack on for like a Friday episode.
you know what? We got to.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and I don't want to be racist, but we're only. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, you can't say that because I'm not going to say. I'm not gonna make any announcements because I want people to be in suspense. But you can't really say that given tomorrow's guest. That's all I want to say.
Oh, I absolutely cannot say that because I am about to geek. I'm about to geek the hell out. Y'all gonna see.
And no, don't spill it though. Don't spill it.
Yeah. Okay, we won't spill it. We'll make sure we
just know that
we have a really dope white guest coming tomorrow.
Y'all make sure y'all have to make sure y'all here tomorrow too. Oh my God!
Please be here. We don't want to tease it too much. If they have to cancel, then I'm gonna feel so sad.
That would be
right. Thank you for catching me, David, because that's absolutely not true. I got all kind of white friends.
All right, so
Ben probably got the most white friends out of all of us on here.
Probably. That's my responsibility. I grew up in Mississippi. What else I'm supposed to do? You know. Well,
on that note, Ben, you posted a video. I think this was yours, and then the rest are James, I believe. My Funny Valentine featuring Ben Patterson.
Oh my goodness! Please pause and take us off the screen for this because this sister is phenomenal.
All right, here we go.
Oh no, bring us back.
I don't know why.
Liz a liar. Give me a live. You pull it from my website. Can you pull it live in real time? Because that was.
I can try. Hold on one second. Yeah,
I gave it a beautiful setup.
DJ, when I heard that growl, I was like, what
I'm like, man, what the hell?
That started costing my musicality.
Filibuster.
All right, so listen, that was a technical glitch.
I think it's a TikTok video, and that's why TikTok does that.
Pull it up live from my Facebook page, man. So I got my reputation, my musical reputation is on the line now. Now, anybody who has already
I don't know why
heard this sister, anybody who's already heard this sister already knows what's coming. But all you heard was the devil right there.
That wasn't the devil. That was the Chop and Screw version. Somebody said in the chat. It was Chop and Screw.
Hey,
shout out Rebecca Azora in the chat room. Hey, Rebecca, you can pop your ass on screen if you want to.
Come on, Queen. Ben, I'm just thinking that David and DJ, I'm just thinking Ben didn't cover this in the production meeting.
Clearly, he did not the match.
You know.
No, he didn't cover this. He just told me to grab some light clips, and when I downloaded it,
we didn't cover it in the production meeting. But there we go. Let's run it, David.
Here we go.
My funny Valentine, sweet comic Valentine, you make me smile with my heart. Your looks are laughable, unphotographable, yet you're my favorite work of art.
Damn, Ben, I apologize.
Is your figure
right, Dr. Matt.
less than Greek? Is your mouth a little weak?
Absolutely.
When you open it to speak, are you smart? Don't change a
Not
Was it
if
you care for me. Stay, little Valentine. Stay. Each day is Valentine's. Stay, little Valentine.
Yeah, she did one more turn.
Each day is Valentine's Day.
Damn, girl.
She was good. She was good.
Man,
Good.
Samara, her name is Samara Joy, and I follow her on Facebook. And she, if you want to see more of her, she was just on the Today Show today. She might actually be there at the 10 o'clock hour, if I'm not mistaken. Whatever that late party is that they do. Yeah, Samara Joy.
I don't know,
My
DJ.
funny
I'm
girl.
not gonna say she was good. That sister was touching my soul.
Right.
She took me back to Sarah Vaughan, man. Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald. Like it's just a passion in the voice, of that
Yes.
style of music that
Yes.
It does. It's that's it for me, man. I love that. I love that. What else you got, David?
So when you don't want to argue in front of the kids.
Oh.
Thank
you, Mommy. I haven't seen this one.
They stupid.
I'm sorry to the listening audience. This is, you literally have to see this. This is all deadpan comedy. Why do me and my wife do that every Oh man. One day I'll have my wife home and I'll tell y'all how we almost got a divorce over a box of cereal. And you never really it be the smallest things sometimes. But I was feeling that McDonald's part where the McDonald's bag was empty because anyway, marriage is funny like that.
I got one more. We didn't discuss this. I don't know if James wants to save this for Rebecca. The moment Nelly realized he messed up.
Ooh.
Yeah, go ahead, run it.
All right, hold on. So
you say Nelly this weekend. I'm a little nervous about what you're about to play.
no, so it is the moment he realized he did that, but it doesn't have it doesn't. No.
And if y'all don't know what we're talking about, last week seems like the leaked sex tape week because everybody's sex tape that came out. So Nelly's was the first, and this looks what appears to be Nelly discovering the mistake he did while he was sitting with Kevin Hart. And it's like Kevin Hart saw it too.
Oh, this is horrible. Play it.
Yeah, I think he was younger than that. I think he was like 14 when he started winning the next game.
Man, listen, man. Oh God.
Shanti.
I love that you were just gonna try to lie about the Olympics like that, dude.
Wait, Rebecca, are you up on this story yet, brother man?
No, I have no idea what we're talking about.
Okay, so Nelly had a sex tape accidentally leak. What platform did it leak on? Instagram, was it?
Instagram on his
Instagram.
he posted it to Instagram by mistake.
And some of the things in the video came up a little short.
I don't that is no, I ain't gonna say none of that because these people out here thinking that Nelly out here small. I'm like, that's why I ain't got no walls now. Y'all thinking people small. This man is pretty good.
Well, at least I know on Twitter because I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it to get evidence of it.
I watched the goddamn it. He all right. He good. He passed the test.
So who was out here saying he wasn't?
All these people that think that they like 12 inches and can't take.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, non-gender conforming individuals, that's going to wrap up the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show for today. No after party, because if we go any further than this, it's only going to get worse. Dr.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love you, man. Brother DJ Exclusive, love you, man. David, you might be the only white man I love like that. No, I'm joking. We'll see everybody tomorrow, man.
Y'all
out of y'all minds. See y'all tomorrow, everybody. No after party.
All right, y'all. No after party today, man. We will see y'all in the morning. But no, for real, y'all out here tripping, talking about Nelly thing small, man. Y'all tripping. Y'all goddamn stupid.
I guess I'm living in the dark days. Because I sure can't see no light. Ever since you left me.
Make sure that y'all tune in tomorrow, y'all. Tune in tomorrow. You don't want to miss the show. It is going to be an absolutely great one. And we will see y'all tomorrow, man. Your affirmation for today is... All right, it's a good one. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. I allow myself to feel whatever I need to. I allow myself to feel whatever I need to. Y'all gonna be great, man. Love y'all. Mean it. Have a great day. See y'all tomorrow. This is